Back as promised with a growing federal investigation into a massive recall of General Motors vehicles. More than a dozen people have died in accidents involving cars that have a problem with the ignition shutting off on its own. The big question here, why did it take the company 10 years to recall 1.6 million vehicles that it might have known had a fatal flaw? Federal investigators are demanding answers. GM potentially faces more than $30 million in fines if it fails to comply. We get more in our report tonight from NBC's Tom Costello.
The crash scene on a Wisconsin road in 2006 was horrific. 3 teenage girls in a Chevy Cobalt slammed into a tree after their ignition allegedly switched off, locking up the steering. The airbags never deployed. 18-year-old Natasha Weigel and 15-year-old Amy Rademacher died. But lawsuits claim GM knew of the ignition problem 2 years earlier, yet never ordered a recall.
These were our children, and they just act like they don't matter. They may not have mattered to GM, but they mattered to us.
The Wisconsin teens among 13 people who've died in accidents involving GM cars that were only recalled last month, including the Chevy Cobalt, Saturn Sky, and Pontiac Solstice. Now, federal investigators are demanding internal information. Why did it take 10 years to order a recall? The names of GM personnel who were involved. How many complaints, accidents, injuries, and fatalities have there been? And how many lawsuits? It was only last December that GM paid off a $49 billion taxpayer bailout.
Took billions of dollars of taxpayers' money, which could have been spent for doing a recall, and yet they didn't do it.
In 2005, GM even issued a service bulletin to its dealers. The trouble? The key can be easily jostled out of position, and when that happens, the engine suddenly shuts down, along with the electronics and even the airbags.
This is really, I believe, the tip of the iceberg in regard to the injuries and deaths that are going to be related to this defect.
GM's North American president acknowledges they failed to act quickly enough, while GM's new CEO has launched an independent investigation and told employees, "We will hold ourselves accountable and improve our processes so our customers do not experience this again." But for the victims' families,
those dollars and cents they were trying to save was my stepdaughter's life. And there's no price that can be put on that.
It's all too late. Tom Costello, NBC.